All right. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Beautiful weather. Hopefully it stays this way for a little bit of time. My name is Emmanuel Davila, and I serve as Director of Business Growth Services at the Southland Development Authority. And today we have a very special guest with us who's going to be talking to us about social media marketing and diving a bit deeper into what that means and giving you some takeaways to be able to implement in your own business today. We also have with us Jamie Maku, one of Southland Development Authority's relationship managers, who's going to be sharing a bit about how she can help your business as well. So we'll go ahead and get started with that. What we'll be talking about today is a little bit of an intro into the Southland Development Authority and what we do as an organization. We'll also briefly touch on a survey that we're asking folks to fill out. This survey is really important because it helps our team identify what kind of training, what kind of educational resources we should be providing to our entrepreneurial community in the south suburbs of Chicago, and also what is it that you need from us to help you make your business successful. We'll do a brief intro into what our team does. It's a great team that I have the pleasure of leading, with 4 relationship managers covering all kinds of different sectors and industries in the south suburbs and Cook County. And then we'll go ahead and pass this over to Josh Irving, executive producer with Kahawai. So what is the Southland Development Authority? Well, the Southland Development Authority is a nonprofit economic development agency that is designed to grow the economy of the south suburbs. So the organization was formed in 2019 by a number of business, civic, and political leaders across the Southland, which is the south suburbs of Chicago, to bring resources and capacity necessary to achieve transformative and inclusive economic growth for the region. So we do that by focusing on investment in industry, workforce, housing, and communities. Our team specifically works with entrepreneurs who are looking to start a business or grow a business in the south suburbs and in Cook County. So this is the survey I was talking about. If you can snap that QR code, it's going to go ahead and take you over to a Google form. Should only take you a few minutes to go ahead and complete that. Please feel free to take a snapshot of that and visit that either later or sometime throughout this presentation. I don't want you to miss the great information that Josh is going to be providing, but please go ahead and save that, bookmark that once you open that screen. That is going to tell us a lot of information about what it is that you want to see from us. So we are here to serve you. Help us do that by just completing the survey. Should only take a few minutes, and it'll help us enhance our programming for 2024. So our team, Business Growth Services, or as we like to call it, BGS. What is it that we do? So we design special programs. We'll share one of those special programs with you that's designed to help entrepreneurs save money on filing their taxes. So you definitely want to take a snapshot of that once I post that. But we design special programs based on the feedback that we get from the community, designed to help entrepreneurs achieve a certain goal or enhance their capabilities, their capacity to be able to provide something tangible to people so that they can grow their business, okay? So we do that through a number of different ways. It could be collaborating with a consultant like Kahawai. It could be working with other community groups, organizations. It's really about creating these programs that are tailored to meet the needs of the south suburbs and Cook County at large. We also do one-on-one tailored expert consulting. And that's a program that you'll be hearing a lot about in the coming months, where you'll be able to apply to work with an expert consultant on a given issue that your business is facing, or to help you with something very specific to your business. And this is an industry expert that is perhaps an attorney, maybe a real estate development professional. It could be a marketing agency, someone that is really, really an expert in that field that can solve an issue or help you achieve a certain business goal. And in some cases, we may cover some of those costs or be able to enter into some sort of a project where we share some of those costs with you, right? So you'll hear more about that program as it starts to roll out. We also have community partnerships. And what that means is we are in contact with chambers of commerce, business associations, many of the municipalities in the Southland. We get together and then do in-person workshops, networking events. We make their resources available to you as well. We help you navigate these different community partnerships that exist so you could take advantage of everything that's available to you when it comes to, the municipality or the town that you're in, being able to be connected to that entrepreneurial ecosystem. We also have business education and cohort programs. This is an example of one of those educational opportunities where we're able to provide you with some technical assistance via webinar, or being able to provide you with enough information on a given subject that you're able to go and implement that into your own business on your own when you need to. Cohort training, this is designed to take a group of individuals through very specific programming over a certain amount of time to dive even deeper into some of these subjects that we'll cover. Some of those subjects include financial planning, financial management for your business, marketing, social media marketing, digital marketing, can include things around employee management, retention, many of the things that as entrepreneurs you need to be aware of to be able to run your business effectively or grow it. So this is the special program I was referring to. This is our 2024 Tax Pro Assistance Program. This program is designed to allow up to 35 qualified applicants to either spend $350 on their business tax return or $500 to complete financial statements and their tax return. So as many of you know that have done this in the past, you can spend thousands of dollars on your tax returns, your financial statements. It can be, a pretty hefty expense, but this program is designed to help provide some relief to those businesses that are in the south suburbs or in Cook County that have been affected by COVID and that are interested in getting some professional tax preparation services at a reduced cost. This is a program that is made possible by the American Rescue Plan Act and Cook County. So we're very proud to offer this now. You can click or actually scan this QR code using your phone. It'll take you to an application. We just ask that you fill that out. And then, as I mentioned, there'll be up to 35 qualified applicants that will be selected to learn more about this program. And then we'll be able to give you more information on being able to complete this step by step. We'll also be having a webinar on February 27th to discuss what documents you'll need, and we can share that information out to everybody on this call as well. With that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Jamie Maku, a relationship manager with SDA.
Good afternoon, everyone. This beautiful sunny afternoon in Chicago for those who are in the Chicago area. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. This webinar today is passionate to me because I truly feel that people do have questions regarding social media and oftentimes just wish they had a little more information because social media is truly every moment of the day. Social media just encompasses every business, all of our lives so much that I just thought myself, it was something I'm researched. I'm like, I definitely want to find someone this year to come in to bring on this presentation for us. And so luckily enough, I was able to work with some consultants that we are working with here at SDA. And we were able to bring in Josh and his team to support us on this social media webinar today. Josh Irvin is the executive producer for Kauai. Did I say that right, Josh? Kauai.
Close, Kahawai.
Kahawai. And I practiced that a couple of times. Kahawai means flow. As you notice, the background image for Josh and a lot of their website images and things they do are like images of Hawaii, images of the beach. Some of my favorite places are the beach. One of my favorite places is the beach. So I definitely love the images and their representation that they do for us. Also, wanted to tell you a little bit about them. So when I kind of came to Josh and Daniel, who is one of the partners at Josh's organization, I came to them and I said, I want this social media webinar. I think it'd be great for our clients. And they said, give us some time. Let us kind of roll some things over. Let us put it together for you. And we'd be happy to. So we're going to put some stuff together. And we went back and forth on some ideas of things that you, the clients, have asked, have referenced, have made, references to me that they're important to you or things you would love to get knowledge on. So here we are today, this presentation. their background is some big names. Kahuai has some big names behind them of businesses that they have helped. They've helped UFC Gym, Eddie Bauer, and FDA, which is the Center for Tobacco Products. So some big names that all of us recognize that they have helped. In addition to those names, they are helping some of our clients at SDA with websites and social media marketing and providing their expertise on different areas that our clients need. So we're excited about that. I think this will be a great presentation today. Once again, it is being recorded. So if you do need to hop off early, we will be sharing the recording after the presentation in the next day or two so that you can reference it back. We thank you so much for joining us. Do take the time to, reference the survey here. It only helps us figure out more good programs to provide to you, our clients. We do what we do because of you. I know myself as a relationship manager, I love every day being able to help my clients with things they need. And so we do ask you fill out the survey so that we can continue to provide great programs to you, our clients. And just a final note, please do silence your, click mute, silence your cell phones. We do not want to have any background noise, as this is a great presentation and all the information we want to be able to be heard and seen by everybody here on the call. So thank you so much. And I'll let Josh take over from here. Thanks, Josh, for doing this for us today.
Of course. Thank you, Jamie. And thank you, Manny, for that introduction. I am really excited to be here today. I'm going to take a moment to just share my screen and take you through my slides. Hopefully everybody can see that. I'm sure somebody will chime in and tell me if you cannot see it. But yeah, no, thank you again. Southland has been a great partner creatively and strategically for us. Their slogan down there says driving growth in Greater Chicago. And I think that's a great way to articulate just what they do and the impact they're making for young entrepreneurs, young people who are wanting to carve out a business environment for themselves. And so it's a pleasure to work for them. And they're the exact type of client that we get really passionate to work for. So with that, we are going to be talking about social media today. And I titled this Social Media 101, not the most creative title, I'll admit, but I felt it was important right off the bat to sort of state that we're not really going to be going through Instagram 101 or TikTok 101. I think all of those could each be their own webinar. What I think I want to achieve today is really talking about social media from the branding standpoint and how it can be used to build businesses, what pitfalls there are along the way, and really what the questions you should be asking yourself as a business owner, as you're considering, do I do social media? Do I do paid social media? What are the strategic things that I need to do to make sure that I'm making sense of this investment of my time or investment of my resources? And so that's what we're really going to be talking about today. Real quick, Jamie did a great job introducing me, but Josh Irvine, the executive producer for Kahuai Content Company. I'm based in Salt Lake City, Utah. You can see my email right there, which please feel free to grab a screenshot of with any questions. If you're not able to get your question in today, please feel free to email me. I'd love to set up a time to talk more about any questions you have, any ideas you were thinking about that you might want to just bounce the idea off of someone. I'm happy to do that with you. So real quick, I got to Kahuai in 2019. I had been friends and creative collaborators with the owner of this company for a long time, and it finally made sense for us to just sort of join forces and get going. And the way we've implemented social media into many of our clients is within the framework of other marketing disciplines, so search engine optimization, website building, brand building. And so a lot of our attention on social media is in the verticals that we specialize in. So Kahuai specializes in really three main categories. That's professional services, business to business, and in education and a little bit of healthcare. We do some e-commerce along the way, and some other brands, a lot of which you'll see as I've given you examples in this presentation along the way. But we sort of use social media marketing primarily as a second or third funnel tool, which is when we've sort of already made initial contact, we have them in our ecosystem, and we're giving them information and content that is meaningful to them, sort of as we keep them in our sort of environment of that brand. I'll expand a lot on this, but this is sort of why I'm articulating it to you today, rather than here's what Instagram is, here's what TikTok is, rather here's how to think about social media collectively and comprehensively in a broader marketing and brand building structure. But quickly, I want to talk about some things I like. So up in the upper left there, I like food halls and I like food courts. When I'm shopping, when I'm at a mall, I get hungry. I'm walking around a lot and I like to go to a food court. Most of the time when I go into a food court, I don't know what I'm going to get yet, but it's there, it's convenient, and it's easy for me to jump into. On the bottom left there, I like street performers. If I'm traveling somewhere, walking around my neighborhood, it's nice to be surprised by a street performer who's trying to, entertain me. I like superstores. I like being able to go to Walmart and get my toilet paper and my groceries and my automobile oil. It's a one-stop shop that's very convenient and multifaceted. And I also like Swiss Army knives. Sure, the steel, the metal, the plastic that makes up a Swiss Army knife, it's not the best material, but it's a one-stop shop for if I'm out hiking or if I'm out fishing. It's a nice tool to have, and it's nice. I like it. These are all things that I like. But there's some things that I love. I love Brazilian barbecue, like you see on the upper left there. Why? Because I had to make a reservation. It was an intentional decision that I made to go to that restaurant. It's an experience. And when I walk through those doors, I have an expectation of what that night is going to be like. On the bottom left there, I had concert tickets recently to a band that I absolutely love. I was looking forward to that concert. I had the night set. I was making the decision to go to experience something that I had an expectation for. Similarly with Guitar Center, I like going into Guitar Center because I get to talk to the staff. I get to interact with the brand. I get to try out the equipment. I feel like I'm sort of a member of Guitar Center, even though there's no paper that would suggest as such. But unlike Walmart, I know why I'm going to Guitar Center. It's to play around with guitars and possibly buy a guitar. And then I like flamethrowers, really, because they shoot fire. But in reality, it's because it's the antithesis of what a pocket knife is, which is it's this intentional tool designed and catered for one specific purpose that, again, I have an expectation for and that I can eventually derive value from. So why do I tell you these things, like versus love? Well, I think it's because, I like things that are convenient and multi-purposed, but I love things that are tailored and intentional. And I think that is an important lens with which we look through social media. I think what you'd find is an easy and early pitfall of a lot of companies is, I need to do social media because everybody is doing social media. So let's just get content out and going. I think that when you take a step back and you realize that attention of consumers is a very difficult thing to earn and an even more difficult thing to keep, it becomes paramount that your social media presence and your social media content is tailored, intentional to what you are as a business and the message you are trying to deliver to your audience. So the agenda for today. I'm going to talk about when social media makes sense, setting key performance indicators, or KPIs is the acronym in the business that we use a lot. Quickly go over organic media versus paid social media, some strategic considerations. So that's like hashtags, influencers, collaborators, things like that. Just a quick note on security, just based on some stuff that we've been seeing recently. And then just kind of a few summary slides on the content creation process and kind of the questions you should be asking yourself as a business owner as you're exploring the social media world. So let's start with, when does social media make sense? I always like definitions. Definitions matter. So in my opinion, this is the best description of what we're talking about here, which is websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. No surprise there. I think the keywords here are websites and applications. So that insinuates mobile and desktop, and then sharing content or participating in social networking. We have what I like to refer to as the Elite 8 of social media platforms for any college basketball fans out there, of Facebook, now Meta, Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, LinkedIn, Pinterest, and YouTube. So to give sort of a single-minded message here, I think social media only makes sense for a business when it provides value to your existing or target audiences. And you see that word value there bolded and underlined. And I think that's really the key word that I want us to focus on today is value. And value is a two-way street. So there's the value that you are giving to your audience or your existing audiences. And then there's the return that you're hoping to seek as a business owner from that investment of your time and energy. which leads me to the investment aspect of this. Let's remember that social media is an investment one way or the other. That could be an investment of your personal time or labor force. So if you have employees or whoever it might be working on those social media platforms for you, those are resources that you're paying in order to have this service fulfilled. You might bring in an advertising agency like Kahuai or a marketing firm to help do this for you. Those are hard costs. That's budget leaving your company. You should be expecting a return or the value add of having that company come in for you. There might be hard costs associated with the video and photo production in order to get the assets for social media, or to get a reporting platform that allows you to understand the analytics and track the performance of any given social post as you go through the journey of getting customers to click and engage with your content. So making sure that there is value both provided to your audience and target audiences, as well as coming back to you, needs to be the beginning point and the ending point of thinking through a social media strategy. So you're going to be hearing me talk about the idea of value a lot today, and where you can derive value in a social media strategy. So to do that, I think there's 4 key questions that you ask yourself right out of the get-go. The first 2 being, what type of business do I have? Am I an e-commerce brand? Am I a consultancy? Am I a brick and mortar shop in Chicago? What type of business do I have, and what does that mean for the type of customers that I'm trying to attract? Secondarily, what platforms suit my company? So I don't think all social media platforms are created equal for every type of consumer. So for instance, if you are an e-commerce shoe product that's very visually focused and visual forward, it probably makes a lot of sense to do very visual based content in video, in photography and graphic design, which might make a lot of sense for you for Instagram or TikTok or some of these very visual forward mediums. Conversely, if you're, let's just say a political campaign consultant, maybe Instagram and TikTok doesn't make as much sense as something as Twitter, now X, might make. So thinking through what types of platforms make sense and what type of business you have, I think is the first step before you even get to the point of who's my audience and what type of content am I creating. Which leads me to the third and fourth question is, what value can I bring my audience through having social media? So value in this case, what I mean by this is, am I going to be able to offer them discount codes? Say I'm an e-commerce brand. Am I going to be able to offer them discount codes to get a sale on my upcoming product or on an upcoming sale? If I'm a consultant, will I be able to offer a % discount on an initial consultancy? Like, what about this media that you're serving to somebody is valuable to them that might get them to perform the action that you are requesting of them? And then the fourth one is, what type of content delivers that value? So that might feel a little bit overlapping, which to a degree it is, but I think where that fourth question is distinguishable from the third is, first of all, what's the medium that I'm putting forth? So again, we could have video, we could have photography, you could have, tweets versus long form content on YouTube. And then secondarily, what platforms make sense? Like I already mentioned, not all platforms make sense for every single type of company. Specifically talking about video, I do come from a primarily video background. Before I really got into the analytics side of marketing, I was hustling on a bunch of different video sets out in LA. And the combination of video and marketing analytics kind of led me to where I am now, which is, ultimately in charge of a wide-ranging degree of media and content, but video kind of continues to be my baby and kind of the way which I look through the creative process, which is why I wanted to include that graphic to the right. So I think it's important to understand the statistics of what content is performing well, and sort of what you stand to gain by investing in different types of media. So this comes from Sprout Social, which is a very popular social media analytics tracking tool. And they, say that, for content marketers, the most valuable types of content for social goals and what gets the most engagement, this is the percentage breakdown. And you can see with video and images, you have a majority percentage of engagement coming from this type of content compared to something like text-based, which, could mean Twitter, or something like stories, which are temporary. They, are there for only 24 hours and then they disappear. And then live video, which I think is growing and becoming more of a popular tool as more social media platforms adopt it. Still on the low end of this tier, but I think if I had to guess, I think this will become a much more prominent and effective marketing medium going forward for social media. But I think the key takeaway in this is, if you're going to ask yourself the question, what type of content delivers value? I think the starting point is looking at the quantifiable metrics in the social media landscape and identifying sort of what those mediums are. So video and images, I think for those platforms that use these tools are the most important type of content that you can create at this juncture. And so I think, with that in mind, I take us back to, just understanding the value of creating a social media framework early on in your business. And these are the first 4 questions I would encourage you to ask before you get to that point. So with that, I think it's important to identify the content value pillars. So what do I mean by content value pillars? In my opinion, there are sort of 4 reasons why you would post something. Again, continue to ask yourself the question, what type of business am I? What type of value am I trying to provide? And once you've kind of fleshed that out, then you get to go, okay, what type of content am I going to create? And what is the objective of that specific type of content? So to that end, I think there's sort of 4 value pillars that we can rest and fall back on. So commerce, pretty simple. I am selling a product or a service. These are my new shoes that we're selling. Click on this link to go to the landing page to buy these shoes. Information. I have information about a product or service that is relevant to my audience. And again, I have examples of this from stuff that we've done recently that'll kind of show you a breakdown of this. But to me, this is not, hey, click on this link to go buy these shoes, but hey, here's why these shoes made from this material are different or unique or meaningful. Education. I'm providing thought leadership about a product, service, or industry that will educate my audience. So this isn't necessarily information about your company or brand, but rather about the industry that you're in at large. And again, part of this is, hey, I have people that follow me. I'm able to deliver content to them. They seem to be interested in the space that my business operates in. Let me educate them by giving them some content about this world that I'm in day in and day out. And then storytelling. I'm showing or highlighting something about my own product or service that is unique or meaningful. In the marketing agency world, we often refer to these as unique value propositions, which is basically what's different and meaningful and unique about my brand and the ethos of my company, and how can I share that or disseminate that in social media? So let's look at some examples. So on the left there, you have commerce. So Hyacint is a diffuser. It is sort of a higher end diffuser that is beautifully shaped, has a very beautiful cylindrical hourglass approach and feel to it. And we recently did a Valentine's Day promotion for them, which was Sorry Flowers. The new scent on the block is this diffuser that has all of these rose notes, rose tones. So click on this link to go buy this product. By the way, here's a discount code to do so. For information, so I don't know how, hopefully this is large enough on people's screens to read this, but Viatech Solutions is an electronics recycling provider. So they come to your company. If you have a lot of outdated or inoperable electronics, they can pick that up for you, take it back to their warehouse and recycle it. So we're telling people, one of the most common questions we get is if we offer computer recycling. Our answer is bring us your old computers, laptops, phones. You can see that it gets cut off from there. But the idea being, hey, yes, we get this question. We do laptops, we do computers. If you're ready to start something like this, let us know. AZ Center for REI is a fertility clinic in Tucson, Arizona. So they're in the, fertility space. And a lot of their audience showed through the engagement that they like getting, just educational statistics and facts around the fertility space and global fertility rates. And so, that's what this post here represents. And then lastly, for storytelling, we have another client out in Florida, Aseptic and Waste, and we thought that we would give a testimony here that spoke to them coming out on Thanksgiving to handle an emergency, doing it with a good attitude, doing it with a solution-oriented mindset, and we were able to get this review on our Google My Business page. So we turned that into a way to tell about this brand, to create a narrative and a story arc about what you can expect from this company. So I think these are a good representation of the 4 sort of content value pillars that you should always think, what is the value of this specific piece of content that I'm doing? So KPIs or key performance indicators. Just turn my notes here. Great. So key performance indicators are important because, again, if you're starting from the very beginning, you're establishing an objective for having the social media campaign or profile, or the time investment or resources investment in creating a social media framework for yourself. So I think if you don't have an established set of reporting metrics early on that you are benchmarking your success against, you're really setting yourself up for a disappointment. I think maybe not necessarily failure, but disappointment, because if you're not tracking towards anything, then you don't really have any way of qualifying your success. So I think a reporting structure should be set up early and include KPIs. So KPIs are key performance indicators. A few common ones are clicks, likes, engagement rate, and impressions. For those of you who don't know what an engagement rate is, an engagement rate is the percentage of people who look at it against the percentage of people who interact with it or like it or engage with the post in some way that shows you, hey, for the number of people who saw this post, here's the number of people that engaged with it. So setting up stuff like this, again, based on the type of business that you have, is an important step one for benchmarking your success. Two, the report should be delivered regularly or after like a significant holiday, event, or date that drives a meaningful promotion for your brand. So to use the shoes example, if you're offering 50% off around Christmas time, you should do a pretty quick assessment of how that sale performed immediately after the holiday ends, so that you can understand, hey, here's what the investment for this promotion was, here's what we were able to get on the return for it, and here's how we can plan for next year around the same time to tweak or modify it based on how the stats came in. Three, a social media strategy not aimed at the larger picture is doomed to fail. I kind of touched on that. If you don't start early on with what you're considering a version of success, it's going to lead to disappointment. Anyone can post content, but does it bring value? And as a general rule, our company rejects quantity of posts as a KPI. So it's really easy to say, hey, we're going to come and do 100 posts a month for you, and achieve that sort of scope of work, criteria, if you will. But if that's just simply content creation for the sake of content creation, and it's not baked in a larger strategy, and there's not a set of reporting structures based around it that says, hey, this is a successful post because of A, B, and C, I don't think it's a very quantitative way of approaching social media. So certainly having a large number of posts can be effective if it's based in a larger strategy, but we would never on our report say, hey, we did 50 posts for you because we had the time to do it. I just don't think that's a very effective method. And then four, success on a post does not always equal action on the post itself. So what do I mean by that? So I don't want to confuse anybody, because I just talked about how KPIs are clicks and likes and engagement rates on the post itself. But if your post has a link to a shopping page where somebody can buy those shoes and check out and fulfill that order, who cares whether they liked it or not? I'm sure if you were to ask any business owner, would you rather have 5 sales and 1 like, or 500 likes and 1 sale? They would take the former. So again, considering the strategic objectives of your brand should influence how you look at your social media performance. If you're an influencer, for example, then likes and engagement rates and impressions really is your business, and that is sort of the value that you're bringing to a company. But if you're a consultancy or an e-commerce product, sure, social media engagement and social media metrics can be a good indicator of the performance of your brand. But I really think, if it's not creating conversions, what's the point, I guess? Organic versus paid. So quickly, just to give some definitions. So organic social media is content posted to your channel or profile meant to serve your existing audience or to boost visibility through organic tactics to a new audience. So that might be hashtags, location tagging, collaborator or influencer posts. Again, we'll talk about that in a second, but I think it's good to think of organic social media as kind of the modern day storefront, right? So people are scrolling, they see that you hashtagged a post that fulfilled a search query that they had, they click on you, and they're going to land on your, let's say, your Instagram account. When they look at your Instagram account, that is a storefront. That is them looking into the window of a store saying, what is this company? If it's shoes, hopefully it delivers shoe content. If you're an attorney, hopefully it has a video of a customer testimonial that, speaks to your value as an attorney. So I encourage anybody who's going through the process of social media to remember that every post matters, but the comprehensive collection of posts matter too, because when they land on that user page, what story is it telling? And then paid media. So paid media is content either bid on or paid for in order to serve an untapped audience based on consumer profiles algorithmic filters, or geofence strategies. So paid media, another way to say it is, pay per click or pay to play, which is when you are bidding on, whether it's through Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever it might be, you are bidding on a certain demographic profile or a certain area based on, in my opinion, what should be a very specific or strategic objective that you have for your brand. I'm going to go through an example in a second of a client that we have that is does both organic and paid media, and show you how we sort of differentiate the creative and the user journey. But I think that the best way to think about paid media is sort of the modern day billboard. So if you have the modern day storefront, this is the modern day billboard. And the example that I give that I think we can all relate to is if you're driving down the highway, how many injury attorney billboards do you see? Probably with the thinking that if I get in an accident right then and there, all I have to do is look up and my problem is solved, right? So again, paid media seeks to solve a very specific problem or a very specific angle that your company is taking, which is why I think the user journey of that needs to be very thoughtfully considered. Again, we'll go through an example in a second. At the bottom there, you can see that to do paid media, you need an organic and digital foundation. So I think this is one of the most important remarks to make, especially as a young business owner. You're going to be approached by a lot of agencies. They might be trying to sell you on the, hey, if we just pay $500 a month, we're going to be able to get this many people to, your website or your social media profiles. And that's great. And that's something that should be explored. But if you don't think through the full user journey, you might end up being disappointed. So if you pay money out of pocket to do paid media, you better have a really good organic social media foundation in place, as well as a good website foundation in place. Because guess what? What that person's going to do after that paid media experience, if that paid media campaign was successful, they're going to want to go to, finalize the action that you have set up for them, which is to buy your, product or to book a consultation with you. So if that infrastructure, if that foundation is not set up, you're spending money to get people to something that is not optimized. And I think that's an easy pitfall early on for entrepreneurs and companies that, want to dive too quickly into paid media. Make sure your organic and foundational elements are intact first. So here's that example I was talking about earlier. So this is organic versus paid. So this is for Aseptic and Waste. This is the company that we work with out in Florida. They're one of the larger septic and commercial septic providers in Florida, which is funny. And I know it's funny. And you can do a lot of fun creative work with a septic company, which we do. But this one is actually, I think, really a good example of, thinking through the different user journeys and thinking through the different experiences of somebody in an organic versus a paid media landscape. So on the left-hand side of the screen is our paid media campaign on LinkedIn. And the way you know that is you can see here where it says promoted just underneath the brand name. That means it's an ad. So just to give a quick background, because this can get very technical, but lift stations are basically a municipal plant that helps wastewater get to the treatment plants that are owned by the government. It's effectively a state requirement that companies that use a lift station have their septic services maintained every, twice a year by a company, and lift station emergencies, in the bylaws of Florida need to be addressed immediately. So if we're lucky enough to capture somebody who is behind on their maintenance or experiencing an emergency, we want them to see this ad, which is why the LinkedIn campaign that we created for this is very specific to Florida, very specific to the job titles in Florida that we think is the decision maker for this type of a service. And the copy and the experience that we create for this is very specific. So if we can catch someone's attention by saying lift station emergency, ACE will be there, and they're going, ooh, I have lift station needs. Let me see how I can avoid costly repairs and protect the brand with ACE's, expert help. I'm a property manager or a business owner throughout the state. Let me click on this and see where it takes me to and see if this is the company that can help solve that problem. Boom, we're sending them to an optimized landing page that, again, I'm going to show you in a second. But this is where a paid media campaign is very specific. It's addressing a very specific aspect of this business and a very specific type of person who we might be able to get a quick conversion on, especially since it's an investment of our resources to pay for this ad, versus organic, which is on the right-hand side. So septic maintenance, this is something that every business owner or resident in Florida would understand. It's different from lift stations. This is just your run-of-the-mill septic system that's probably going to need maintenance here and there. So whether or not we get people to convert right away is not necessarily our core benchmark for success. The core benchmark for success in this one is, hey, can we get them to click on the article, or can we get them to sign up for the newsletter? Can we get them to follow us on social media so that we can kind of stay relevant to them, keeping them in sort of our ecosystem so that when that time comes, we're top of mind for them. So you can see here, this has a little bit less of like a urgency to it. We're talking about lift station emergencies in the paid media campaign, whereas here we're talking about, hey, whenever you get to the point of scheduling with us, here's what that inspection is going to include. It's very thorough, it's very comprehensive. Earmark this so that when that time comes for you, ACE is front of mind. So that's kind of how we as a company think through organic versus paid. And again, I think the best way to remember how you should set something up is when it comes to paid media, you are paying money out of pocket to get that person's attention. Make sure it's worth that dollar. So strategic considerations. Hashtags. So hashtags are a common tactic for positioning your content in a way that reaches a relevant audience. So on the right, we have a client of ours called BMI. They're a really fun brand. If you've ever been to Dave & Buster's or Chuck E. Cheese or any type of those family entertainment centers, they are the company that delivers those toys that you get like at the redemption counter, like when you hand in your tickets. They supply those toys to all of those companies. They recently went to a conference in 2023 called IAPA. It's their biggest industry conference of the year. And you can see here, the hashtag strategy in this was to leverage the trending hashtags for that conference. So you figure all of the, big names that are coming in this industry are going to be at this conference and probably searching the hashtag for IAPA 2023, IAPA Expos, or IAPA as a whole. So this is the type of content that, is relevant in a very specific time to a very specific audience. And, it shows that we're active and relevant in that space. So I think the other way to think about hashtags is they effectively function like search engines, like Google. So I gave you a couple of examples on the back end of what this looks like. So I think just to go back a quick slide, this is kind of what it looks like on the front end to, somebody who's being served this. I've searched this and this is kind of what, how the post appears when I've clicked on a hashtag that has brought me to this post. But here's how people are actually searching for it, which I think is important for you to understand as a business owner. So this is the back end of Instagram. You can go up into the search bar of Instagram and type in hashtag Brazilian barbecue, again, to bring back some stuff that I love. So this is the options that it gives me when I type in hashtag Brazilian barbecue. I clicked on this first one here that had 74.2 thousand posts to it, and it brought me to this page. So from here, I'm able to decide which post I want to click on or come back and, try a different hashtag. But from here, I can kind of get a good sense of a Brazilian barbecue experience by using this hashtag. So obviously 74.2 thousand posts is a lot of people. Tough to compete amongst that number of people. But that's why I think hashtags can be very strategic, especially if you're like a brick and mortar business or a very specific location, to where you don't maybe type in necessarily Brazilian barbecue, but you type in Brazilian barbecue Chicago for anybody who's in the Chicago area that night looking to get that type of dining experience. So with hashtags, I think don't get caught in the hey, there's this 72,000 people searching for Brazilian barbecue. Get caught up in the no, but there are 40 people looking for Brazilian barbecue in my neighborhood, and I want to pop up for those 40 people. So I think that's where hashtags again function a lot like search engines, where you might be reducing the amount of people who might see your post, but the more you can narrow it to a set that's meaningful to your audience, the better off you're going to be in making those conversions that, again, are relevant to your brand. I gave another example in YouTube just because the interface looks a little bit different. So for this one, I did flamethrower, and this is the stuff that came up. So maybe I'm interested in how to set it up. Maybe it's just a guy using it. Maybe it's Elon Musk using his flamethrower. Like whatever the thing that I'm actually interested in looking at is what I would be able to get from YouTube. So every platform does its hashtags differently. This is just a couple of examples that you might run into, but I think the general takeaway in this is that the more you can make hashtags narrow and granular to your ideal target audience, the better off you're going to be, even though it might not lead to more clicks and impressions and shares and stuff like that. Geotagging. So some platforms like Instagram allow you to state a location for your post. So again, to use Aseptic as an example, they are based in Land O'Lakes, Florida. So depending on your company's goals, making your content relevant to a specific location may be valuable. Again, if you're a let's say a milkshake company in Chicago, you know, using a hashtag Chicago Eats or Chicago Sweets, Chicago Milkshake, something to that effect, with the Chicago tag in your post, you might just get the right 10 or 20 people that day who are looking for that exact information within your general area, and you've created a relevant post that is meaningful to them. So I think considering your location is always an important way to go. And again, certain platforms and certain social media management platforms like Sprout Social allow you to do that. One sec. So collaborators and influencers. I think the concept of I scratch your back, you scratch mine can be very useful in social media marketing. I do want to sort of differentiate between collaborators and influencers. So with influencers, I think we all kind of know what that is, who those types of folks are. They are people who have built up a large enough following to where they are going to be able to leverage that following in a paid, relationship capacity. So to give you an example, on the right, Viatech Solutions, which is the electronics recycler I told you about earlier, had a partnership with an influencer named Savannah Valabi. She was on the LPGA tour last year, and she had a really, really good month. I think this was like in May of last year, where she won her first event out here in Utah. And we took that opportunity to say, hey, since you are, we are sponsoring you as Viatech, can we sort of create an illustration of you that kind of promotes your, success? Can we add you as a collaborator in that post, which you can see here, which would mean that this post will show up on our profile as well as her profile of 50,000+ people. And can we leverage this influence that you have through this creative material? The answer is obviously yes, because we were Viatech was sponsoring her and her work on the tour. But this is an example of where, sure, Viatech Solutions, we're going to be able to serve our existing audience of people who know us, who love us, who trust us, but who knows who's following this influencer? You got a really good opportunity there to get this in front of the right person, say, hey, what's VTK? What is all of this? And boost the amount of impressions, boost the amount of likes that you're getting through, leveraging this relationship that you have with an influencer. Versus collaborators. So collaborators, I think, is a little bit different from influencers in that maybe you're not dealing with somebody who is, making money off of their social media presence, but rather just is sort of a brand that you can collaborate with that says, hey, I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Let's see what we can do. So to give an example, for the fertility clinic in Tucson, like I mentioned, we just basically gave some love to the Pima Air Museum on National or International Museum Day. And, we reached out to them ahead of time and said, hey, you're a great brand in Tucson. We'd like to think of ourselves as a great brand in Tucson. Can we work with you to create a post that kind of promotes you, promotes the great stuff you're doing? And in return, would you mind sharing this on your profile and sharing this on your account to maybe, see if there's anybody in your audience who could use fertility services or has been considering, their own fertility journey. So that's where, that's the relationship building aspect of social media and how I would sort of think about collaborators versus influencers. And in many ways, it kind of functions similarly to organic versus paid. With an influencer, you're kind of immediately entering a paid relationship, which is, hey, I'm willing to, share your post for X amount of dollars or X amount of swag, like whatever that monetary agreement is. Versus collaboration, which I think is a little bit more of an organic way to say, hey, we can help each other, have a mutually beneficial relationship here. How does this work for you? Here's what I'm looking for. And that's a tactic that we at Kahawai really like and we've used pretty successfully. And again, it just kind of helps create a little bit of a cross promotion between two brands that might not even have anything in common with each other except, location or industry or something like that. So with all of these strategic considerations in mind and in thinking through, the experience and the user's experience, there's this great rule in marketing called the 3-33 rule. And it's effectively, you get 3 seconds to get someone's attention. You have 30 seconds to engage them. And then you have 3 minutes to keep their attention. So I kind of put this wall here to kind of insinuate that I think social media's job is these first 2 steps. So think about people who are scrolling, right? Scrolling, content, boom. They see your post for whatever reason, it catches their attention. You have 3 seconds to get that attention. From there, you have 30 seconds to engage them. So maybe they watch the video, maybe they read the caption, they do whatever is available to them within that immediate social media post for probably about 30 seconds. From there, if you get them to click to that link, click on that, direction that you're giving them to go to the landing page or to go to the store, whatever that thing is, you have 3 minutes to get their attention and try to get a conversion. And again, a conversion can be defined based on, what you consider a success. So I summarize this by saying that earning attention is only half the battle. Acquiring engagement is the other half. So can we get them to where we need them to go, keep them there, and either get them to buy or get them to stay a part of our ecosystem? So to give one more final example of aseptic and waste, I showed you this ad earlier. So if you're thinking through the 333 rule, if again, we've reached the right person, we've set up the campaign in a way that reaches the right audience, and this person happens to be dealing with the lift station emergency, hopefully we get their attention in 3 seconds with lift station emergency. From there, we have 30 seconds to get them to read through this, maybe look at our post for a little bit. Oh, these guys even come at night. That's cool. Ace will be there. Time, rain, shine, whatever the circumstances might be. Clearly, these guys are reliable, provider for this. Let me learn more. So this action, getting them to click here, like we did it. The ad made sense. We got the person who we wanted to click on this. But then if you think about what I said earlier, so what does that mean? It means where are you taking them? And where you're taking them is really, I think, where the true marketing has to come into play, because you've earned their attention. Now you have to keep them and get them to convert. So I thought I would quickly just show you the page that we created for this, that we're taking them to. Again, not to do anything other than to show you, the sort of end-to-end marketing spectrum that social media, I think, requires. So again, if we've gotten them to click to this page, reliable commercial lift services in Florida, need a trustworthy commercial lift station vendor, Ace has you covered. So this truly is how we're measuring the success of our social media paid ad in this case. It's not by how many clicks, it's not by how many engagements, it's not by how many shares, it's how many people came to the website and clicked this number to call. So again, our client in this case would much rather have 5 sales and 1 like than 100 likes and 1 sale. So that's where I say that, the value in any given post may not be on the post itself, depending on your business. I can send a link for this afterwards, but it's a very, very long landing page. Again, if you think about my 3-minute rule, this is about a 3-minute read, and it kind of paints the picture of everything that you can expect. A couple of great reviews from people who have appreciated our service in the past, reasons why the state mandates, routine lift station maintenance, and an opportunity to contact us, or fill out the form to set up a consultation. So I think that really is the end-to-end spectrum that you need to think on from, I want to do a social media campaign. Where am I taking people? Security. I just want to quickly address security as somebody who's gotten a lot of spammy notices in the last couple of months. Look, hackers are getting very sophisticated in how they attempt to scam you. And one of the easiest ways is through social media, because you're dealing with big conglomerates like Facebook and YouTube and Google, and it can be very scary the way they sort of tell you that they're about to shut down your account because you weren't compliant. So whether you're doing this yourself, whether you have an in-house person or a marketing agency, make sure that social media manager has safety protocols in place for each platform you are either posting on and or advertising on. Without wanting to reveal who this person was, or any credentials of them, because it doesn't matter, I wanted to show you the type of message that can come in that is not legitimate and that could easily derail the safety of your social media profiles and your business at large. So this is Facebook. And this is an example of something that would violate Facebook's protocol and how they address non-compliance or posts that don't meet their policies. This is not how Facebook operates. Facebook doesn't send you a note saying, hey, we might shut down your account. They just shut down your account and tell you why they did it. So if you get this type of note, if you have an understanding of Facebook's safety and security protocols, you would know right away that this is spam. Not click on this link, report it as spam, and get on with your day. A lot of business owners and a lot of people who don't think through this very important step, we all run very busy lives. We have a lot of requirements throughout the day, both in our work and our personal lives. These hackers, they're trying to get you right at that moment where you're most vulnerable. So doing the front end work of understanding security protocols for all of these platforms that you're on can save you a lot of trouble in the end. Okay, getting close to the end here. So I kind of wanted to summarize the content creation process with all of these things that I've kind of walked through today. So I think number one, what is the goal? Does your intended content align with a broader strategic objective? I think I showed you sort of the end-to-end experience with that, with the 333 rule. And hey, we got them to stop, we got them to engage. Now can we get them to convert? What platforms does it make sense on? So not all social media platforms are created equal. Strategize accordingly. Again, if you're a shoe brand, go with platforms that are very visual forward. If you're more of a consultancy, maybe you need LinkedIn or Twitter or something that lets you, expand through words on the value of your company and the examples of your work. What is the content's value? So sell, inform, educate, or storytell. Again, that goes back to the content value pillars that I described earlier, which is, what is this specific piece of content seeking to do? Where are you getting the assets? So do you have a graphic designer? Are you doing a video production? Are you doing a photo production? Do you have a copywriter? We can think social media is a great idea, but then you have to think, oh, how do I actually create this? And how do I actually put the pieces in place to execute on this content? And then lastly, and in my opinion, most importantly, what is the desired action? So is the action you want from the user clear, and is where you're sending them optimized? A social media post without a clear objective and a clear message is just content. A social media post with a clear objective and a goal in mind has value for both parties. So summary, when doing social media for your business, remember the core tenets. Are you providing value, or are you providing content? Are you using the platforms and mediums that make the most sense for the type of business you have? Are the posts, landing pages, and user's journey optimized? And lastly, is your message tailored, intentional, and goal-oriented? So to go back, these are some things I like. Because when I'm casually scrolling, casually perusing, it's nice to get, surprised and excited by some of these things that are multifaceted or convenient. But when I'm invested in something, when I'm a part of a brand or part of an experience or part of something that I have expectations for, those expectations mean that I need to be given a certain degree of value in those experiences. So if we just replace the word I with the word consumer, I think you'll see that consumers like things that are convenient and multi-purposed, but consumers love things that are tailored and intentional. So if you've gone through the effort, if you've gone through the work to get them into your ecosystem, to get them to click, to get them to engage, make sure it's tailored and intentional to what their expectations are. And really only you know that as a business with unique value propositions about your business, and ultimately going into business to produce a solution to something that you identified as a problem. So with that, here's my information again. Again, I encourage anybody to reach out to me. I know I didn't talk specifically about, various platforms like Instagram or TikTok specifically. Happy to do that if you want to follow up. But hopefully this was, an engaging presentation and thinking through, hey, here's how social media can be a valuable tool for my business. The different sort of pitfalls that might be out there, and then thinking through things like organic, paid, and the strategic considerations that fall underneath all of that. So thank you. This was really fun. I really enjoyed presenting. Hopefully I left a little bit of time for some Q&A, and if not, you all have my my information.
Thanks everybody for joining today. We are going to take some questions. At the bottom of the screen, right next to the chat, you'll see Q&A. If you do have any questions, if you want to drop them there. Also, we do want to know who's on the call today. So if we can, I know at the beginning of the call, we kind of asked, and we would like to know which business owners have joined the call today. So if you could drop your name and your business name in the chat, that would be great, just so we know who's here. And we thank you for being here today. But if anyone has any questions, go ahead. We'll give you a minute or two to drop them in the chat, and then we will get those answered for you. Once again, this was a recorded presentation webinar, and we will be sharing the link after the call, probably tomorrow or the day after. So you could be on the lookout for that in your email. That way, if you want to re-listen to it or share it with someone, or it would be available for you as well. So go ahead, and if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat.
That either is a good sign or a bad sign, right?
Maybe they're overloaded with all this great information.
Maybe. That or they're gonna take me up on my offer to email me all their questions, and that's fine too.
And like I said, if anybody wants to say hello in the chat, we welcome your hello, and just knowing that you're here, we appreciate it.
Oh, the chat is disabled,
Oh,
is what I'm seeing. There's also the Q&A feature down there. I don't know if that's what they need.
yeah. Oh, we got a question coming in. As the question that came in, as a small business owner, I feel that I have to show my face on social media. I'm smiling because I totally feel this. That makes me a little nervous. Any tips on starting to feel comfortable recording myself and talking about my business on camera?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I can appreciate the sentiment there. You know, not everybody is designed for, you know, the front of the screen, you know, acting, performing, speaking, whatever it might be. I liked public speaking, but I hate acting. So anytime I'm asked to do anything like that, it's not a comfortable spot for me. But I would say that you know, it's definitely not a barrier to entry for doing good content. You know, if you're not comfortable or you just don't think that the content would perform really well if you were sort of the talent, if you will, on screen, you could do a couple of different things. You could do a voiceover, so you could just kind of VO, you know, something happening and then edit, you know, pictures or video or you know whatever that might be that kind of shows what you're talking about. Or you could, you know, hire a voiceover artist or an influencer to do that type of stuff for you. You know, a lot of that comes down to, again, what type of company you have, what's your budget, you know, things that, you know, are certainly a variable. But, you know, if you are sort of in a spot where, you know, I need to kind of be the creative, you know, engine behind this content, a great way to do that without having your face on camera could just be to do voiceover and then edit, you know, photography and video on top of it.
We also got a comment. I would like to share one of the comments that did come in. Very informative. Thank you very much. So that was another comment. Back to that anonymous. I don't want to, we don't, nobody has to state. If you don't want to state who you are in your question, that's okay. But back to that question about people getting on camera, because I know myself, I always joke around. I said, I'm so much better when it's one-to-one, but then when I gotta get on and present, I get all nervous. But if that is something you would like, because that is something SDA has heard and has talked about, if it is something you would like to have a presentation that, you know, can work on, because, you know, with COVID, a lot of people went behind the camera, not on, you know, didn't have to be in front of people. If that is something you would like, let us know, because that's something we could definitely look into. Once again, we want to provide content to you all that is informative, requested, content that you truly feel that would benefit you as a business owner. I do have another question that came in, a couple more.
Yeah.
All these late questions coming in. I love it. Thank you so much,
Great,
everyone.
yeah.
This is from actually one of my clients. I'm gonna reference her. She is she owns a bookstore. Her name's Nubia. Hi, Nubia. Thanks for joining. She says, I have published paid ads in the past that weren't successful via Facebook and for my website. So when you click on it, it goes straight to the homepage, and I have a separate page for products. Should I list my products on the homepage? Thank you for that question. I'll let Josh take over here.
Yeah, I think you have a good solution there with listing products on the homepage. But I might suggest that you rejigger the paid media campaigns to send them to the products that people want. And it's tough because I don't know exactly what type of bookstore you are. If you're doing, you know, only a certain, you know, set of genres of books, you know, again, some variable there. But kind of going back to my one of my slides where I sort of talked about, I think the best version of paid media is something very specific and intentional versus, you know, a homepage or an organic social media profile. It's a little bit more like a window shopping experience where you're kind of looking into you know, a store sort of from the outside. Whereas with this, you know, if you have a specific book or a specific genre or a specific author that you could create a specific landing page for and you know, pay for the social media company or the paid advertisement to you know, target an audience that would fit that type of genre, I think that would be a more you'd have a better return on your investment there, because again, you're sort of saying, hey, here's the people who I know are interested in this content, and here's a page that you can go to that is kind of your one-stop shop for fulfilling that request. Where I think you were probably running into issues on the homepage is like, great, you've sent someone to the homepage, but they don't really know what to do. You know, they could click around, but that's kind of more work. And they were kind of just hoping to be delivered the thing that they were signing up for, or that they were searching for. So I think if you were to either do one of two things, you can try listing the, books on the homepage. That might be a good option, or you can have, your paid advertisements switched up a little bit so that you're sending people to the sub pages of your website that are a little bit more specific to that action that you want.
Great, thank you so much. And Nubia, if you did have questions, follow up with me and we can definitely get those answered. Another question that came in, thank you for this question. Is
Yeah.
it okay to start with a small budget for paid social media, or do you have to start with a huge budget in order to see any results at all? And is it okay to recycle content? So I'll let Josh take away, our expert here. Josh, thank you, Josh.
Yeah, quickly addressing is it okay to recycle content? I think the word recycle does it a disservice. I think, because that sort of insinuates you're kind of, recycling it. I think it's okay to reuse assets. So if you have, a really, really good photo or really, really good, you did a video shoot and you have, 5 or 6 really, really good shots that, really paint the picture of your brand, tells the story that you're trying to tell. There's nothing wrong with sort of using that media in a multi-purpose capacity, as long as it's serving a different message. Again, I think the important thing to remember is that a lot of times people are going to land on your profile, and it's going to show sort of the comprehensive set of images and media that you've created for that experience. You want it to feel like there's some thoughtfulness behind it. And if it's just the same picture over and over, I think it's actually going to do a disservice to you than if you were to just post it once and then just kind of cut your losses by not recycling it another time. So if you're able to tell a different story with the same asset, I think it can be, recycled, but I wouldn't just, again, post it because it's content that you're able to post and you have that image. So you're just going to keep using it. Which is sort of a good segue into budget and how do you budget for social media assets and social media creation. I think a small budget can get you where you need to go. A small budget can get you things like a subscription to Storyblocks or Shutterstock, which is a stock photo library where you could download images, download videos to use in your social media content creation. We're in the era of AI, so ChatGPT is a great way to do content writing or hashtag creation. A lot of these platforms that they want you to sign up for business accounts because most people that sign up for business accounts have paid media in mind, which is a huge business model for these social media companies. They're going to give you analytics, so you could probably pull a report that shows the performance of things without having to pay for a subscription. So I think with a small budget, you can definitely get yourself off the ground with it, but you may find yourself at a point sooner or later where you just need to invest in getting the assets and media in order to continue to create content that is valuable.
Sorry, I put myself on mute. Josh, I got a couple more questions that came in.
Sure.
Thank you so much. We appreciate all these questions because also
Yeah, they're
too,
great.
not only do we want to answer it, it also helps Josh for future presentations
Yeah.
for him to know what is needed for their end and to be able to better serve their clients and also continue to do great presentations like this. Should we use trending sound on content is the next question.
Trending sound. Oh, like songs and dances and stuff like that. I think that's where this question
I
is
would
coming
think that's kind of, yes, where that one's
What's
coming in.
what's the one right now? It's that 80s song. I think Murder on the Dance Floor is the one everyone's using right now. Yeah, I mean, it's good to be trendy as long as it's, baked within, your brand's ethos and your brand's principles. I think it's great to capture onto trends because let's face it, people are searching it. But I think too often, in my opinion, trends like this come in and out really quickly. You can blink and all of a sudden there's a new song or there's a new dance or whatever it is that people are leveraging or meme or whatever it might be. So if you can catch it at the right time and you can make it funny and you can grab someone's attention without it being a disservice to your brand, I say go for it. I just would encourage you to remember that if it's a post or if it's something that's going to be stationary on your profile, to be prepared to have that be a representation of your brand going forward. So for stuff like that, I would say probably best to lean like story or something that will disappear after 24 hours because you caught onto the trend. You showed everybody that you're relevant in that space, and it's not going to necessarily be a stain element of your brand. And that's how I would advise my clients in that regard.
Here's another one for you that's coming in hot.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this one?
Yeah.
The question is, what is your favorite social media platform?
And what is the name of the band in the presentation? So that one is Khruangbin, spelled. Oof, I almost would have to like look at the spelling. It's spelled very uniquely, but they're a great band. I love them. They're just you're welcome for anybody who decides to go listen to them. And then which is my favorite social media platform? I'm a video guy. I love YouTube. Most of like my nights that I'm hanging out on the couch, I'm watching some kind of a YouTube stream. So I'm a big believer in YouTube and the power of YouTube in brand building. And video is the most intimate medium. There's the statistics about people who prefer to engage with the video content is only getting higher and higher, and will only continue to do so with each generation that comes out. And as AI continues to create great video features, I think video is here to stay. So in that regard, I think YouTube is the one that I would say I like the most.
Well, that's great because this is going to be posted on YouTube.
Hey, look at that.
This presentation. So you answered the question perfectly. Do we have any more questions? Oh, I think we got one more that came in. Hold on. How often should we use text over pictures or voice over picture?
How often should we use text over pictures or voice? Oh, I see. So I think this might be in reference to video where like you see like the subtitles and stuff like that. I think that's a great question, actually, and perhaps one that I could have included in my presentation. So for a platform like Instagram, the default setting is for there to not be sound. So if you can put text on the pictures or text over the video that would be quote unquote a scroll stopper, then I think that has a lot of value to it. And then you get people to click on the audio, and then they're being served both the text and the voice. So that's a great question, and I do think there's value in having I guess what you call subtitles in video content. And for pictures, yeah, I think if you probably saw a couple of our assets in the presentation that said having an emergency, and that was obviously over a group of guys performing a service. And so I think that's where, yeah, you can be very strategic with that messaging, but you don't want to overdo it, I think. So you don't want to have a picture with your entire message sort of pasted over it. That's what your caption is for. But I do think if it's done through the lens of, hey, this is going to stop someone and get their attention, then yeah, I definitely think it makes sense to include text over the imagery. How often that happens, I think that's kind of up to you, and how often you're posting, I guess I would say, is in certain terms of how often.
We're going to wrap up here. If you do a couple things, if you do have any additional questions, please reach out to myself. I will direct them to Josh. I'm sure he'd be happy to answer them if you think about something later. Like I said, they are great partners with Southland Development Authority. They've been, great all along. And for everybody that's on the call, we have some secret news. We are going to be bringing back another presentation. We're going to be stepping it up a notch. We're going to be called 102 maybe. We got 101 today. It's going to be on search engine optimization. It's going to be in April, and it's also going to be presented by Josh's team. We're not sure who yet, but stay tuned. Be on the lookout for that to come from us. That's also another big thing, is search engine optimization, also known as SEO. Is a big thing that we hear a lot of people ask questions about. So stay tuned for some information like that. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. We will be sharing the recording of this for everyone to listen to it again or share it with someone you think might find it beneficial. And we appreciate you joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.